Welcome back, Sawheads. So in the previous episode we finally had the tremendous excitement of getting this chainsaw to pop just with a little bit of fuel down the inlet, and that was so exciting that one might be forgiven for wanting more excitement. But before we get to more excitement, we've got to remember that chainsaws are dangerous, and having a spinning chain flying towards the cranium at high speed is, well, it's certainly exciting, but perhaps somewhat undesirable. So we're going to put this to one side, and instead we're going to look at the chain brake. So here's the brake band, and this is very much the first thing to get sorted, because if we have a look just around here, I think you can see there that it's worn very, very thin. And of course these are not available off the shelf, so I'm going to have to make a new one. So it didn't really need to be particularly springy. I'm not sure that this is any more than just mild steel, but something with a little bit of spring in it is desirable. However, thankfully my local charity shop has come up with this item here. Not quite sure what it is, possibly one of those ring things that you put in the frying pan when you want a nice round fried egg, but I guess this would be the ostrich edition. But anyway, it's a nice piece of stainless steel, and stainless tends to have a bit more spring than mild steel, so that's nice. However, it is a little bit too big. Not to worry though, a session with the angle grinder will soon sort that out. Okay, so I've extracted an 8mm wide strip of this stainless steel. It's actually pretty ductile at the moment and easy to bend, and as I understand, if we assume this is something like a grade 304 stainless steel, the only way of making it more springy really is to work harden it. It won't respond to any heat treatment, so we'll have to see how this turns out. But anyway, I'm going to get it twisted up into this shape. I think I'll start at this end. Doesn't really matter which end I start at. So I shall start off with this bend right here. It's got a nail in there. This is the strip. And that's at 90 degrees. So I've got the thing fitted where it should be, and this is the most critical length here. It's got to wrap nice and tightly round here, so I've actually started the bend like this, and then I'll take it back out and get this bend finished. Okay, with a bit of work I've ended up with something which is matching up fairly well with the original. The process or processes that I used to get here are very far from being professional. Basically just whacking it about and fiddling and messing around until it looks about right. But as for technique, that's probably best consigned to the history books and certainly not revealed on YouTube. Anyway, I've just marked up 3 places here, so 2 rivet holes either side of the hole here, which will take this pin. So I think the exact length of the band has some degree of flexibility because it can be adjusted with this screw thread on the end. But anyway, I'll drill some holes and make this as accurate as I possibly can. And just to make things absolutely clear, once my aforementioned technique has been consigned to a history book, that book should be quietly taken somewhere and incinerated. Unlike this history book. Once it wasn't history, but now it is. This is wonderful history. You never know when you'll need the data for a 6SN7 GT octal based low mu double triode. One day, eh? One day. Now to drill out to 4mm for the centre hole. Well, I think the level of precision I'm bringing to the party is unprecedented. Look at this marking out and this precise drilling. I can tell you that these holes are exactly where I need them to be. Of course, it is all somewhat guesswork here. That middle hole there, where exactly was it before it all got bent round? But anyway, that's the next stage. We've got to take this thing here and bend it at the middle hole there, and then see what there is to be done after that. So we're just going to start off bending at the centre hole here. Just going to pop a nail in here just to stop it closing up too much. Seems about right. I've rescued the magic pin from this side. Here it is. So it's got to have a bit of wiggle, which is good. And then next I think we'll get this cut to length. Now I'm just going to pass this nail through the 2 rivet holes to align them. Okay, that's very much getting there. Still got enough wiggle, I hope, there. Right, the nail has now become a rivet. So let's see if I can hammer this down. This really is turning into a video of how someone would do something when they don't know what they're doing. It's definitely not a step-by-step how-to. But anyway, let's see how badly this is going to go wrong. Well, I've ended up with something which should do the job, but yes, you can see the lack of professionality that's gone into this, but I'm satisfied it'll be kind of safe. Right, so just in terms of testing a little bit to see how springy this actually is, I wrapped both of these around this random cylinder here. It's quite a bit smaller, and then we can see that this one has kind of sprung out and opened up a bit, and this one hasn't quite opened out, so this is a little less springy, although I can feel it has been getting a bit springier, more work hard and the more I fiddle with it, but I'm kind of getting tired of bending it around now, so I think I might fit it and see how it performs. But while we're at it, here's a clutch drum. Shades of a future video perhaps, but this is the right diameter for this brake band. So what we can do, I think, before we fit the thing, we just open it out and then just wrap it tightly around there, and that's where it springs out to. Wonder what happens when we do this one. It's very, very thin there. Again, wrap it round tightly. Yeah, they're opening it out about the same. Yeah, I reckon this is good to go. Have to keep an eye on it though. I think that's the reason this one was worn here, because perhaps it lost a bit of spring around here and it was just dragging on the clutch drum at the top. Okay, so in with the pointy pokey thing first. Okay, that's got to be tapped down a little bit further there, and where is it? It's there. That'll give us a chance to tap this tiny little roll pin in, which will then come through here and lock it in place. Okay, so I've locked that tiny roll pin in place. Recalcitrant thing. Took a right load of hammering. So the band's hugging the edge quite nicely there. And that's going to grip nicely, although we can see here it's quite round, but we'll see how it performs once it's all together, and then it's not too difficult to just massage this into shape if it needs it. But the action is nice, and we've got clearance up here, so that's all good. Except, of course, it isn't all good, because I forgot to put this spring on, which goes on over the rod here to return the brake band. So I've got to take it all apart again. But I won't make you go through that. You can just enjoy my incompetence, and I'll go off to do this all over again. Well, no, actually, I'm going to have to share with you the unfolding disaster of this spring here. So, firstly, it's kind of like really a Friday afternoon design. Look at that thing. It's just a return spring, but it's supposed to go on here and kind of, but it doesn't sit nicely or anything. But that's kind of a minor detail, because somehow, if I just pop that in there, turns out that I've made my brake band. Look at that. How did that happen? It's considerably longer than it should be, and that means that this spring bottoms out before you can bind up the clutch drum. Oh dearie me. But what I've come up with, and we'll see if this works, is this spring. And not only do we not need to take the brake band out to fit it, but also because it goes up that hole there, it can compress right in. Then on this side, we just pop this little washer in like that, and then that washer will be held in place by this very big spring when the time comes. So, well, it certainly looks neater, but of course we'll have to put it all together to see if it actually works. Moving on to the rest of the chain brake now, we have these parts. We have the flag here, this carrier thing here, and a tin of bits and pieces. However, I'm sure it will be apparent that the surface finish of these items would not be in keeping on the saw that I'm trying to build. I'm trying not to make it a shelf queen, but I'm finding it incredibly difficult. So this horrendous mess will not stand. Look at that, the nice original zinc plating has been preserved under the label here. I've removed the label. Here it is. Swede-O-Matic. What a superb name. But what does this say up here? Tvarniter looks like, with an umlaut over the A. So the interweb returns 0 results on this mysterious word. So if anybody knows, whack it in the comments. Anyway, back to these. I'm going to attempt to finish these with a black oxide finish using a rust bluing method. And while I'm doing these, I shall also throw in the dogs, which are also a bit of a disgrace. And while I'm at it, I think these exhaust bolts are much too shiny. They could do with a nice black finish too. Right, well, it's taken me 20 minutes to show you a brake band and a pile of slightly corroded metal parts. But anyway, I'll leave the video here, but next time I'll be getting a decent finish on these, and next time, with a bit of luck, won't be too far in the future. So until then, thanks for watching.